Hi, my friend. Welcome to this channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is Netcode-Hub channel, and on this channel facilitates a lot of .NET lessons, including Blazor and also .NET MAUI for mobile and also desktop application as well. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that, and also click on the notification icon to receive updates as soon as a new lesson or new video drops. You can also like this video or buy me a coffee to also support this channel grow as well. If you want to do that, just check the description. The link is over there, and you can do that from that place. We have more information for you too in the description, so you can also get along and now check it over there as well. This video, we are going to talk about building a simple job portal application with MAUI Blazor hybrid app. So that's what we're going to take a look today. I have made a video on building the same job portal using Blazor as server. This time around, we're going to convert it into a mobile app. Okay, so we're going to use the MAUI hybrid or the MAUI Blazor hybrid application to do this. All right, I've done this already, so let's go through quick on the screen. As you can see, this is the interface, the home page. As soon as you just launch this application, there are a lot of things that you can add it personally to this to customize it. Okay, now you can see from here that we have all jobs available, and now if you check, you can see we have all the jobs. Currently, I have only 6 or 7 jobs available. Now these are the featured ones as well. Now these are the job titles. So as soon as I click on the job title, it has to open and I have to get the job detail. The reason why it is slowing down here is I am using a dev tunnel to host this. Okay, so that is why it is making it slow, but don't worry. When you do it, you're not going to be slow. So let's see. Now you see we have that is the company name over here, and this could be a company logo, and that is a description of the job. And you can see we have the full time, that is a mode, maybe there is a salary, that is a range. We have the job function over here. And if you want to have the provider details, you click on this to get the provider details. Now the provider detail comprises of the email address. Okay, so let's see. Job provider details comprise of the post office and also the location and the email address. You can add a lot of things to this place. Okay. Now also you see all these items, all these jobs, they are featured, but this they are not. So the difference here is you see we have a featured tag applied to each of the featured item, and now those ones which are not featured, you can see they are simple, as you can see from here. Okay, so that is a way for this homepage. Now when we check the post, that is, it enables a client to post job. Okay. Now with this, it looks like a multi-vendor system. With the same application, a user can register and also post job. But before you post a job, you have to now create an account and you have to set up your company first. How do you do that? That is a place where you can just post your job over here, because you have the title, the category. You can just click to select category here. And you have job function, job type, is it full time or is it part-time? You can just select it from the job type. Also, when you check this job location, you can also get a job location. You can just choose to write job location. Now there is a salary range as well. Now, when you go to this categories, you're going to have a list of categories here and the number of jobs related to that category. So industry 1, I have only 1, nursing, and 1, office work is 4. So if I click on this office work, you're going to open the 4 available jobs over here. Now within the 4, we have only 1 as featured item or featured job. Okay, and I can still go back to the category, and if I click on this, the sales only 1, I'm going to see only that one over here, and as you can see, it's a featured job. If I click on this, I'm going to have the details of this job, and now the job provider details. I can also click to get that. Now to set up this your company, click on the settings, and I can see from here that here I have signed in as administrator. So with administrator, I can now manage all my clients here. So I can add user, I can assign role, I can revoke client, I can just check the incoming applicant. all these ones I have not implemented them yet, but we can do that. Okay. Now, when we check this, this letting you know that it is for administrator purpose. Aside from this, you can see we have this manage categories, my company, and our account settings. Account settings is log out. Now, when you go to manage categories, you can see you have this manage category, and it navigates you to this category, and it is the only administrator privilege to do this. So administrator can now delete this, can add a new one. So we can just click on this plus to add, can just click on home. Okay, as you can see, can just delete any of these. I actually want to do that. If I click on a yes, it's going to delete it. Now, aside from that, administrator can also, let's see, you can also set up a company as well. Okay, so set up a company, and any person who registers can also set up a company. So set up company. So when it comes to the settings page, you can see that when I was registering, I was able to upload the logo of the company, and also I added this information over here. Now I have to upload a company certificate to the system so that it can be verified. Okay, and also apply the logo, and that's the logo that you see over here. Then you have to submit it as well. Aside from that, you can see when you come to this, we have this manage categories. We've talked about that, and now from the settings tool, you can click on logout. As soon as you log out, you can see we have only the login and create account. So meaning that a client has to, before you can make a post, you have to log in. You can see from the tab bar to post is off. We have only the normal one for just a user. Okay, that is when you are logged out. All right, so let's see now. So when I'm done with this project, I'm going to leave it at the GitHub. Okay, so I'll just run to it quick. Now, when you go in there and clone it, and a part that you couldn't understand, let me know. I'll just explain to you personally, okay? And you're going to understand that. All right, so that is what for now. So let's see, when I get back to the home, although I am logged out, but you can see a normal user can see this. So anybody who wants to search for a job, get this app, opens it, and then gets this featured app, and also the type of jobs that is over here. Can just navigate to categories. I'm going to have these categories over here, and also can navigate to the settings. And you see from the settings here, if the person decides to create an account, it means the person wants to either post a job. All right, but as soon as the account is created, the person has to set up a company, and then in that PDF of the business certificate must be sent. And also a logo of that company must be also set. Now, when it is being sent to the server, maybe the owner will have to verify. Then you can just admit the person before the person can be able to make a post of a job to this application. It's a very simple one. So let's get through that. Now, the name for this project I'm going to create is going to be Demo MAUI Blazor Hybrid Job Portal. So when you go to the GitHub, that's the name that I'm going to use, and I'll leave the link in the description as well. So you can just go in there, click on it, and now get to the GitHub and now clone it. So if you like this video, please put the like button on, okay? And also if you want to buy me coffee to support the channel grow, door is open. You can do that as well. Thank you. So let's get going. So the project that you saw is coming from a web API. So the whole data here is coming from the web API. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to create a solution. Then we're going to add a server, that's a .NET web API server. And also we're going to add a MAUI Blazor hybrid application as well. And also going to add a class library. So I think we're going to add 3 projects to make up the job portal application that we saw. All right, so let's get going. But first of all, we're going to create an empty solution. So new, so click on File, New Project, and I'm going to choose Solution over here. And now it's going to be blank one. So as I said earlier on, that's going to be the name for this solution, and we're going to create that. So click on the create, and now when this gets created, we're going to add the API, and also going to add the MAUI Blazor hybrid. So Solution Explorer, and now right click on the solution. Let's click on Add New Project, and now this time around, you're going to choose this MAUI Blazor hybrid app. If you don't see, click on this, and now choose this Blazor, because you're going to have it over here. Let's see .NET Blazor. Click on this. And now let's say this is a MAUI app. So I'm going to give the name as MAUI app. As you can see from here, this is a MAUI app. So click on create. And now the framework is 7. So continue on. Now this is created. Let's create our server too. So the same, we're going to add the same project. So we go to solution and right click on add, then new project. You're going to add the API. So click on this, the filter, and click on web API. So we need the C#, that's the ASP.NET Core Web API. And now let's say this is a server. So next, you make sure the frameworks are the same. So 7.0, 7.0, click on create. So this is also created. Now let's also add the last one. That's going to be the library. The library is what going to be used to share data between the server and now the app. So I click on this, and now let's add a new project as well. Then we're going to choose a class library. If you don't know that, click on this, and now go in for library. So there's a library. You're going to see this C#. Click on this, and now this is, let's say this is library. Okay. So or shared library, anyone. So let's click on next, and now you make sure 7.0 as well. Click on create, and now you get it created. So you go back to the solution, and now in here we can just see, let's make some small cleaning. So this class, let's clear it off. Now let's go to this www, that's the data folder. So this, we can just remove this for now. And we also check from the pages. So from these pages, all these pages, you don't need them, so we can just delete them. And also, when you go to, let's say from this set, we have this survey. Let's also remove that. And let's check this MAUI program. So we can remove, so MAUI program, and I can see this weather forecast. Let's remove it. Okay. So now you have this. What we're going to do here is, and also from the server too, I think we have to also remove this from the server. Yes, so this from the server program.ts file. Yeah, there we have this, and yeah, all set. So what we're going to do here is we have to install some packages here, and we get to go. So let's do that. So first of all, let's check on the server. I'm going to right click on this, and I'll offload this, and you also try to install these packages. So here I'm going to just copy this, and I'll paste this. So pause the video, and I install these packages. You can see that we are using an SQLite, tokens, and also etc. So try to install this. Okay. Now let's move on. Let's go to the MAUI and also install some packages to the MAUI as well. So with the MAUI app too, I just have to right click and now unload the projects, save this. And now the next thing I'm going to do here is with the same package item group, I'm going to add this. So let's see, this for the library, this for the MAUI app. Okay, so down here where we have this item group, I'm going to add this. Okay, so we have to add the following. I think this has appeared twice, so let's remove one. All right, so pause the video too, and now install these packages as well. So when I'm done, I have to just reload this project with dependencies so I can install the packages that I just added the references, and I'm going to do that to the server as well. So right click, reload it, the dependencies. I've saved that. And I can see it is reloading, and all these packages are going to be installed. Now, when we are done with this, what we're going to do next here, we're going to install, we're going to build this project. Now, you can see from this client section that we install some packages over here. That is when we check this MAUI app, you can see we install this component. You're not going to use only Syncfusion, right? I'm going to also install, we're going to use this Harvey.Blazor component. It is from the Bootstrap. Okay, so we're going to also install, or going to also use some of the components from this component provider. Okay, so install them over here, and that's all. So once we are done with this, let's build this project. So I click on solution, and I click on build solution, and let's wait for it to get built. So it seems there's an error here because you can see the project name and now the app name is almost the same. So let's say this is the MAUI app. Okay, so let's say MAUI app client. So let's update that. Now let's build this. All right, so all set. Now let's share the library between the two projects. So I'll click on the MAUI client dependencies, and I'll click on add project reference, and we're going to choose this, the library. Take note, not the server, the library. Let's do the same thing to the server as well. So server dependencies, right click and add project reference, and also make sure you choose the library. Yes, so that's what we want to do. All right, so once you're done with this, the next thing that we're going to do here is you're going to work on the server first to create a database or perform migration and etc. Right? So let's first create our models that are going to be used for both the client and the server as well. We do that in the shared projects. Okay, so let's do this for now. And there's a shared project that's a C# library. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. Now we're going to have to create some models. And these models are the category numbers of jobs, company info, get jobs, job mode, login, post job, registration model, and service response. All these models are what we're going to need in this project. So let's get going by creating them one after the another. So in here, the project, let's right click and add a new folder as models. And now with this model, right click and let's add a new class. So the name of this class is going to be category. And we're going to have categories. These are the properties. So we have public class. Let's save that. We need to create, you see we are creating a relationship here. So we need to create this post job model. We're going to do that soon. Now the next thing is we're going to create another one that is another category with number of jobs. That's what we're going to use to populate our category in the data. That is the category component. So let's add the same class and category with number of jobs. You know, these names, I made it long so you can understand what this actually is doing here. Okay, but you can just make it short to any name that you want to give it to. It's possible. Now let's go in for company info, and this is what anytime the user tries to set up a company, this is the model that the person needs to fill with data and then submit it to the server for the server to get it saved and then process it. So you can see in that you're going to have some properties such as, is it granted? That's a Boolean expression. So is it granted? If it's granted, then the person can have access to it. And because you have client ID as well, that is the data coming in the client ID. Must be added to this table as well. Okay, so let's see. Now the next one is the get job. Now with the get job, what we're going to do here is, with this get job, that's what we're going to use to process all jobs and now return it to the user. So anytime I click on open the app, I'm going to see a list of jobs as you saw earlier on in the accordion, and that is the work of this. We're going to use that to populate the jobs and return. So you can see we have the title, all the stuff that we saw over there. These are the models that you're going to use, or the properties that we're going to use for that. Okay, now let's go in for the job mode. Now job mode is about, we have two, that is either part-time or full-time. Okay, so maybe if you want to, depend on your use case, if you want to add maybe semi-time, or if you want to add any time, you can do that. Okay, but for now we want to process it and now add just part-time and now full-time. Now this part-time and full-time we're going to set up within. So we're not going to install this in database. No, we set up within the application. And now hereby we comes in the login. So if the user want to log in, this model is what the user is going to use to log in. So let's see class and now login, and we must have, for my login system, I'm going to use just email and password. Okay, so because that's the unique one that I can use. And also for this is the post job. So if I want to post a job, You know, there's a difference between get job and now post job. The reason is with a get job, you have to come with the company information. By a post job, it is a person who is posting. So there's no need for you to provide company information again because the person has submitted company setup. So the information has been kept there. So get job has to join two tables and I retrieve the data. But post job, just a single data, single table, you get it saved. So let's add this as this is going to be for post job. And now this post job, you must have the same class and some of the property that we had in the get job, you're going to have the same thing here. So let me just clear this. Okay, so you can see when you actually look at this, we have the title, the function of the job description, salary, range, min and the maximum salary, job mode, location, is it active, is it featured? Okay, if it is featured, then you can see defaultly featured is off, active is true. So as soon as you post it, people go to the app, they can see what you've posted. And that's the relationship that we are creating here. So this is a one-to-many. So one category here is going to have a list of jobs. And that one list of job here, so as you can see, we have this post job, okay? And we have this is a single one. So the list of this post job, we're going to handle by this category, right? That's the relationship that we are creating here. The next one is the registration. So let's see. If a user wants to register for the first time, what are the things that we need to take from the user? Just the name, the email, the phone number, and I think the password, and the person has to confirm its password. So that is the thing that you're going to be using for registration. So let's see, we're going to have our name. Then let's say we have our phone number, email, and password. But you know, for the proper registration, we have to confirm passwords. That is the reason why we have to create another model. So in a rare case, it's supposed to be a DTO, data transfer object. But here, I am not making a DTO. I'm just making that a model. So we have two. So we have a registration, and this is a registration model. The registration over there, it is an entity that is also going to be used to store data in the database. But the registration model here, it is what you're going to use to confirm or to submit data into that entity, right? So we can decide to exclude the confirm password when we're processing the data. But here, it is mainly meant for the user to compare the password of the user. Now, the last model that we're creating is a service response. Anytime that we make a request, there must be a response, right? So if that response could be positive or negative, we have to still get that response and we display it to the user. So that's the reason why we need a service response. And it is not holding any properties like flag, and that this flag here, it is not a country flag, right? It is just a Boolean statement, either true or false. Was it successfully done? Was the process successful or not? That's a flag in case you want to give any message. And now here, that's a token. So instead of creating separate service responses for login and registration and etc., I decided to make it one. So at the time, token is set to null, unless you are working on a login. Before token is going to be assigned to a value. These are the models that we need to create. So pause the video and then try to create them, and we continue on. So after the successful creating of our models, what we need to do here is we're going to create our service or our database connection. And we're going to do that in the app setting.json. So we quickly go to the server project. And you can see in there, you can now close this library. And as the server, you can see we have this app setting.json. This is what we're going to use here. So we need a database connection. And this is a string. Since you're using the SQLite, this is a database name. Okay. Now we see demo. Now SQLite is going to add a database to the project. So we need not to set up a MySQL database aside. It's part of the system. It's part of our application or the server. Now here, this is what we're going to use for the authentication and also the creating of the user, encrypting the password, and also generating the token. So we need the key, issue, and the audience. Now here, you can see we're using localhost, but this is the port. So to find the port of your application or your system, go to the properties, and you can see we have the LAN settings. Go for the HTTPS, and you can see 7006. Copy this. And make sure you pick the HTTPS, not the HTTP, okay? So I'm going there, and I just have to replace it with the port. And that's all. After doing this, we have to create our AppDB context for the database connectivity and registration, database table creation, etc. All right, so we do that. let's create a folder and name it as data here, and we're going to add a class with that as appdb contest. So that is the data folder. Right click on it and I add a new class, and now this class is going to be the appdb contest class. Now with the appdb contest class, you're going to have something like this. You're going to possess, or it's going to inherit from a DB contest class, which is coming from the entity framework code that we installed. Aside from that, you create a constructor and I'm passing the same options over here as the appdb contest. Inherit from the base, and there's the base here. And now you can see we have these tables that we want to create for our database. We need registration, user role, token info, jobs, company info, and a categories table. Alright, so for user role, we haven't created user role yet. We're going to create it soon. And this user role, we have to create it into a folder, and that is known as authentication. Okay, so we're going to do that soon. Don't worry. So for now, let's maintain this. And to do that, let's after creating this, we can just go in and grab this token info, and let's do that with the same folder. Let's create a token info here. The reason why we are adding this class here is, this class is not going to be shared by the client. It is mainly done for the server. So we don't need to put it in the shared library. So make sure you put those ones aside. Okay. Now with the token info, what are the properties that we need for a token info? It's going to install the token. It's going to be generated to the user. So we want to save a copy. Anytime the token comes in, we can make a check from the database and see if it's authentic or if it's fake. Okay. Now, aside from that, we need a user role. We definitely have to assign a role to the user so you can access some items or some methods in a database. Now, within that, what are the roles that we can assign? We can assign either an administrator or a user, super user, any other role that you want to set, manager, etc. Depending on what you are doing, okay, you can assign individual roles to them. So in doing that, you're going to have user ID, a role name. User ID, you can see from here that we are creating a relationship. We are linking it because this user ID is coming from the registration. So we can assign, they can get a user ID from the registration because as soon as the person registers, it gets an ID. The ID is going to be assigned here and attach a role to it. Okay, so when you now check back with the appdb contest, all things solved, right? So it is now done. Now let's go in there and now perform a registration. We do that in the program.cs file. That is where we need to register our application. So let's go in there and now do that. So Solution Explorer, now click on the program.cs file. We are still working on the server. Take note. Before the app built, let's paste this here. And you can see we are getting the name as default connection from the app settings.json. This is the default connection that we are getting. Aside from that, the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add the authentication service. So authentication service, so that this server is going to allow or is going to accept a token before it allows you to access its content. Okay, and I can see from here that we are getting the issuer and the audience and the key. All these are found here. Check here. You see them? Yeah, so that is it. Okay. Aside from that, what we're going to do here is we're going to configure the Swagger API. Not the API, the Swagger, so that it can accept, you can use that Swagger to test the API. All right. So let's do that. We do that in the program.cs file. Now down here, let's add a Swagger. So this is the starting one. It is adding from this, and it is coming up to the last end over here. So this is what you need to add to the settings here. Now, see, this is the description, and now this is what we are doing. We are adding the security definition as this is the scheme over here. As you can see, this is the scheme, and the bearer format is JWT. It means it's going to accept JWT as the authentication token. All right. And this is a description that you want to describe to the user, maybe the instruction to the user how to perform that. All right, so aside from that, what we're going to do here is we have to add authentication and authorization. Check this. We have authorization, but you have to arrange it in a way that authentication will come first before we authorize it. So make sure it is in order, as you can see from this. Okay. Now, I think the Swagger, we have added it defaultly here. So we have to remove it because we've added that down there. We have this. Let's save this. And you can see from here that we are also using an SQLite. Yeah, so we are referring to the database software as an SQLite. And that is what we are using because that is what we installed. So after beautifully doing this, done with this registration, we can go ahead and build this project, and we can perform database migration to create a database table and database itself for us. So let's build this solution to see if everything is in order as expected. Whoa, so you can see that they are all built successfully. Now let's go in there and perform database migration. But to do that, what we need to do here is we have to set the server as a starter project. So we're going to click on the server, and I'll set as a starter project here. So we're good to go. So I'll click on the package manager console. If you're not seeing yours, click on tools, NuGet package manager, click on this, and you have this. Okay. Now you can see that here client is selected. No, let's choose the server. You're good to go. So CLS can clear screen, and now ls list all. Now let's grab the server. So cd, let's change the directory to server. Whoa, server, yes. And now you can see type in ls, we are inside the server now. So let's say .NET ef migrations, then add, I likely put in first. So this dynamic, you can change the name, okay? And now this is an output. So do it to the data folder, open it, and then create another folder known as migration, and do all your steps in it. Click on OK, and now you can see migration is going to be performed. So let's wait for a file to be generated. After that, we update the file, and it's going to transform the content on the file into a real thing, okay, as a file database for us. Oh, I said it. So you can see it is now done. Now let's update it. So we say .NET ef, then database, then we say update. What is the name? Do you remember yours? First, let's update that. So nice. Now it is done, as you can see. So our file has been created, and I want to check this solution explorer. I can see from the server we have the data folder known as data. When you open, you can see we have a migration folder. Click on it, you can see we have the file created with the name that we specified as first, and you're going to see that with your name that you also provided. Good. Now next thing is we're going to create a service to render that to a controller. And now before we create a service, I want us to register the service here before we even create it. Okay, so we do that down here. So before the app build, take note, let's put it here. That's for iClient service, and that is a client service. The I stand for the interface, and that is for a normal class. Let's grab this, save this, and let's go to solution. So inside this data folder, right click on it, let's add another folder as services. So this is services. Now right click on this, let's create an interface. So add class, and here we select an interface, and the name is going to be iClient service. And we're going to have to do the same thing for the client service, and that is for the class, that's the implementation class. So let's do the same thing over there as well. So add a new class. And this time around, choose a class, no more interface, and there's an iClient service. So you see we have the class over here, and we have its interface. So with the interface, what are the things that you're going to put in there? The interface comprises of the method names, and the implementation class comprises of the method definitions. Very simple thing. So from the interface, let's say we want to have access to the following interfaces. And that is what the whole application depends on. Maybe you can add more to this, okay? We see this is a response type, so this is the output. It is the returning type at the service response, and here it is returning a company info. It is returning a list of job. It is returning service response. And you can see it is returning this as well. These are the method name, and these are the payload. That is the load that is coming in to process. We have the registration over here for login and set up company, also get company info, post job, get all job async, get job with category ID async. And also we have an add or update category. We have get category, also delete category. And then the last one is get category with number of jobs. Yeah. Now with this, we have a lot of implementation to be done, right? So let's go to the client service. And in here, that is where it has to be done. So click on this, and you can see, let's use, so it is inheriting from this, right? Now in that, let's start to implement the interfaces. But first of all, what we're going to do here is we need a constructor first. So we have to create a constructor now, inject our AppDB context for database connectivity and communication establishments. So we do that, and we also inject this I configuration, so we can have access to this app settings file here. We can have access to the key, the issuer, and the audience when creating the token. I believe this is clear. Now let's have a look with the registration. So this is the registration. So user service registration. So user has to register this. As I said earlier on, get the source code from the GitHub. Okay, no need to type all of this. Get the source code, and now try to follow this and I'll go through. Anywhere that I couldn't understand, let me know and I'll explain to you personally. I hope that is clear and it's nice too. Thank you. Have you subscribed? Please do that for me, okay? Alright, so this is for registration, as you can see from this, and here we are checking if the username of the email coming in start with email, then set it as an admin. No, if the emails coming in start with admin, then set the user role as admin. Here we are creating, as soon as you create the user, you want to create a role as well. So assign admin to any email which has the starting name as admin. Before you do that, check from database and see if there's any email that has a name with admin. In case it has that, it means it has been assigned admin already. In application, admin is supposed to be one set, the rest users, unless the admin want to set another people as admin. We did not implement that, but this is what we are implementing. Okay, else set the rest to user, as you can see from here. Now with this, we have to hash the password before we save, because you can't save the raw password. We hash it, and now for a method to hash it, we have to create a method here to hash the password. So this is a method to hash it by encrypting the password using an algorithm type of what the SHA-1, and using the RFC algorithm to encrypt the password. And also, start from that, after encrypting the password, we have to log in. So after logging in, what is the thing that we need to do? Let's see. So here, we want to check and see if the email is found. If the email is found, let's verify the password. You know, the password has been encrypted into the database. So we also have to encrypt the current one and now compare. So we can do that from this method, verify password by decrypting or encrypting the same password, and I'll make a comparison. In case they do match, return true. So we decrypt it and I'll return. If they do match, return true. So here we are saying that if true, meaning here they match, then get the role from the user and now generate the token. These are the properties that we need to generate token. We need an ID, username, email, and now the user role name. This is the thing that we need as a claim to generate the token. Okay. So as soon as you receive your token, you have your user ID inside of it, you have your username, you have your email, you have your role name inside the token that you have been assigned to. It's not very nice. It is nice. Okay. Then we check after creating the token, we want to keep a copy. So we do that in token info. But you first have to check in case the ID already exists with the token. In case there's an already existed token, then assign the new one to it. Update it. In case there's no token assigned to your username, then add a new one. Alright, so there's the method for login. Now from this, we have to the method to generate token. Let's have a look with that. So it's very simple method to generate the JWT token, and that is this one. So you can see we are accepting in. You can see this method is coming in with these guys. So we have to accept them over here, and now we can just get the key, the issue, and the audience. These are the we process or we populate the claims type. So serial number you use for the user ID. You have the name, email, and the role. We assign it to these guys here. We generate it and I return this. So this is going to be as a string, because that's why we are returning as a string here. So when this comes in here, it is coming as a string over here. So we can actually add string inside of the var. Okay, we can use a string here. Then we return this. So you can see from here that if everything works, we are returning the token as this, and now flag is for true. So it means login successfully made. Okay, that is for the login. Now let's go to the next one. Now the next one here is for the post job. That's going to be for job service. So if I want to post job, what I'm going to do, I can just click on this. So you can see it is returned just a service response with just a message and a flag. This is the payload coming in here. And now that's what we are doing. We are going to check if the client ID has a job with a title as the one coming in. Then we tell the user that the job is already posted, right? Because you can't say that I want a secretary today. Then tomorrow you want to put the same thing, I want the secretary. Then the system will allow you. No, it won't allow you. My system won't allow you, but maybe you can allow yours to allow that, okay? Okay, so let's check. If it is null, it means there's no such issue. Then let's save it to the database and I return job posted. Now to get all jobs, we can just call this method to get all jobs. Get all jobs async. Yeah, so we get all jobs, and this is a method. So we create an instance of this list of get job, and now we create a list of post job as an available job over here. Now this is what we are doing here. We are checking if the category ID, no, this is get job all by, okay. So here we are passing in a filter. So we can get a category ID from this. You can get category ID or get job by category ID or get job using just a specific text here as a filter. Okay, I believe with this, I did implement this twice. Okay, so we can forget this now. Maybe later on we'll come back to this. But here, let's focus on we are getting all jobs async. So when the category ID is 0 and now the filter is also empty, it means you want to get all lists and now return. But in case any has a value, then make sure you search through the data, the list, and I get those as a list and I return. Now here, this is what we are doing. We want to populate the get job. You know, get job has a lot of information from, it is joining 3 tables. It is joining the registration table. It is joining the company info table, and it is joining the post job table. So we need to, that's why we are storing them here. So this is a company info, this is a registration table, and now we have the job table here. Okay. So we have this 3 table, then we can now populate it over here as ID, title, function, description, everything over here, and now assign it to the user. Now assign as a list, add it to the list that we have created over here as all jobs, and now return at the end of the day, return all jobs, because you know that here, the output here is what? A list. All right, so that is for the populating for a list. Now let's see with the get job category ID async. So get job by category ID. Let's see that method too. And now with this, we are going to get job with category ID async. So we pass in the category ID, and now we're going to also do the same thing. We store all the lists over here. Then we look to the job that has been over there. Then we check if any of the job has the ID, the category ID as what is coming in. Then we want to populate it over here and I'll add it to the list. This list, which is the get job list. Okay. So in that, we have to get a company name, company address, and we get them from this is the company info. So all these are the company info. Company email is coming from the register component or the register date list or the data table, database table. Register the same thing for the phone number. And I can see from the company location, it's coming from this company info. We've stored them over here, and it is coming from this table, and we have the job table as well. So you populate it and I return. It looks like the same thing to the list here, but this time around here, we're passing a parameter to specify which we want. All right, so that is this one. Now let's go to the next one, and this is the setup my company. So if I register and I want to set up a company, I need to provide the following details. That is the company certificate, okay, the location, the logo, the address, the company name. So I need to provide this. Now, before I do that, I have to check if you've registered already. So we check. If you're not registered, they'll tell you that user not found. So you have to register. But in case the data is found, then you can now go ahead and now process this, submit this information to the owner of the application, so it can grant you to access it. Okay, the next one is the get company info async. So after I have submitted this, I need to get a feedback. So anytime I open my application, I will see the data that I submitted, and that is what we are using to get it. So get by ID from this company info and I return. You see, this is very simple, right? So it's very simple as well. So that's what we're doing. Or we can even remove this and I'll say return this, or we can also remove this and I'll just say return. Okay, and we can just remove this, and now with this we can also do something like this. We can just remove all this, so you can remove all this from here, and now instead of let's use this lambda expression, and this is also going to work as well. So let's see, Let's see if when you clear this, it has to work. Okay, so let's see. So public company info marks to this return. So you have to remove this keyword return, and now this is also going to work as well. Okay, so any of these is going to work, but let's maintain what we have. No confusion. So yeah, so we have this return results and go away. Okay, so no return results. We can, yes, return results here. Now the next one that we are doing is the category response or the category services. So let me just grab this category services. Then down here, let's paste them here. So this is a category service. First of all, we updating or adding. We check if the ID is greater than 0. It means we want to update. Then update it. If not, then check if that category is already found there. If it is not, then save it. Okay. Now this is a get category list. So return to the list of the categories. Delete category by the ID, check if it is found, then remove it, and I'll save it, and I'll return the title of that category deleted, and I'll say the title is deleted. Now here it is get category with number of jobs. So here you want to have the category name and the number of jobs found in the application. In such case, you have to create a list of this, and I'll get the whole jobs here, and I'll get the whole categories as well. We look to the category, and I'll check if any of the job has that category, then we want to add it to the list. After that, return it to the list, and so we can have the count. So you can see that from here that we are getting get all related jobs count. So job.where this category ID is equal to this cat ID dot to list. So we convert them to a list, then we count them. So we're going to have maybe office work. The count here is going to be maybe 50. So meaning 50 jobs have this category ID as office work. Then return. So that's what we're doing. We are populating a new one. So we add it to the list that we have created over here. Then we say the ID is equal to this ID, the category ID, category name over here to the title, and at the job quantities. So we're going to, oh, this is the quantities, right? It's supposed to be quantities. So we are assigning to this get all related job count. That is this one. So that's the list that we are doing here. Okay. So we are done with our service. Yeah, we are done with it. It looks a little bit cumbersome, right? But yeah, that's what we have to do. So we are on the era of creating the controller. So let's go in there and create our controllers. You need to create an account controller, a job controller, and so upload file controller for PDF and also logo to be uploaded to the server. Okay, and we do that. So we go to solution, and in there we have to you see that from the server you have a controller folder. Right click and now let's add a new controller, and this is going to be an API empty one. So API empty one. And at the name of this controller, we're going to name it as, that is the account controller. So within that account controller, we're going to have the following properties, the following method in there. So we are going to, yes. So we inject our client service over here. Then we initialize over here. And you can see we are having register async and also login user async. And you can see this is allow anonymous. So anybody can have access to it. It doesn't require any token. Anybody can log in. Anybody can create an account. But when you're done with this, the next step here is anytime you want to perform an operation, then we need a token, because when you log in, token will be generated and assigned to you. So you have to come back with a token. All right, so let's do that with the next one, and let's see with the upload file info. So upload file controller to, let's see, create this controller as well. So API controller, that's the empty one, and now upload file controller. And now within that upload file controller, we have to include just a single method to do that. Let's first have a look quick. So we're going to upload the image and also going to upload the PDF, okay? So I'm going to show you how to upload them. And we have two methods. So the first one is uploading. We inject this logger file, so this iWeb host environment, in order for us to have access to this system, okay, this place. There you are. Now you can see from here we initialize them over there, and now here the route is a logo, and it is we're going to append the content, the image or the file to the HTTP context. Then for when it comes to this side, we have to retrieve it from the context and now count. So we count over here and see how many of the files in there. Then we loop through them, and now we create a file path for each of the file. So we have to create a file known as file and a logo. So let's do that quickly. To the server, right click, and now we add a new folder as files. Then we have to create what logos. So we do that and add a new folder. So this is the file at the path. Okay, so logos. It means that any file coming in from this route here has to go to this logo. Then we check if they're directly here, it doesn't exist. Then we create it over here. But here we are creating it ourselves, so there's no need. We want to make a unique of the file, so we want to append a new name, append to the file name. So we create a new this is the GUID over here, grid. So we create this ID over here and assign to the name over here. Then we call this memory stream. We call this copy to async to the memory stream. Then we copy this file to the folder over here with a new name, as you can see. Then we return OK with the file name. So we store a file name here because you want to have the file name so we can store. And when the user tries to set up company, we want to return the file name to that company setup so it can be saved to the database. Because you want to get a copy of the name of the file here and add to the data the user is going to send to the database. So that when you want to grab the content or the picture or the data for that company, we have the name of this file over here. So you can just come to the file directory here and now grab the file. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. And you know what we've done here, we do the same thing to the certificate. So you can see we also append to the context. We get it over here, we loop through it, and now we create it as certificate. So we have files and certificates. Let's see. So with the logos, let's also create one as certificate over here as another folder. Certificate. Then that's where we're going to store all certificates here. So if I want to verify you, I'll come to the server, open the certificate to the system, and I'll view all certificates and I'll read if you're authenticated. Then I'll just issue granted. If I give it to granted, it's like a thumbs up. It means you can go ahead and now do that. Okay. Have our service. All right, so that is what we are doing over here. Very simple as well. So we are done with this, and here it is likewise. It's like allow anonymous, so anyone can have access to this as well. So let's see. So allow anonymous. We can put this as attribute on top here as allow anonymous. Okay, because if I'm not authenticated and I want to view your company info and a company image, I do not need to register any. So I can just click on your application or your job that you posted, and I have to see your company logo there. So we can allow anonymous. But maybe you may have a different use case. So as for that, you can also do that yourself, right? But for now, let's do that. Now when we're done with it, I have to create the next one, and that's the main controller, and that's what we know as the job controller. So for the job controller, it's going to handle all types of job, post, get, category get, and etc. Let's do that. So controller, let's add the next controller as an API, empty one. So job one, and within this job, we are going to have this. Let's go through it quick, and let me just remove this because we don't need this, and I don't want to confuse you with that. Okay, so it is out. Okay, so let's see. Now with this is what we're doing. You have to inject our client service, and as you can see, we inject them and initialize them as well, and also our iHosting environment, so we can have access to the content, the file that has been uploaded by the client. Okay, and iHosting, and here let's use a qualifying name. But with this, I think let's use this instead. So let's put this here. Let's assign the name here. Okay. Now the next thing is the AppDB context. So control period. Let's include the AppDB context, that is system.server.data. It is set. And now it is an authorized attribute. So it means that before you post a job, you must come in with an JWT. This is authorized. This allow anonymous. So post job, you must be authorized first before you can post job. And the next ones allow job, all jobs to get all jobs. No, anybody can have access to. Get job in category, anybody. Submit data, business data to, it is authorized. Okay, because you need to provide. That is when you want to set up a company, you have to register first, and that is it. So you see all of them, we are setting the payload, we call the service that we have created, and now we created a method in the service from the interface, and that's what we are calling. So it is nothing difficult over here, and that's what we are doing from this. So here we are accepting the client ID. So we want to get a specific data. You know, maybe we have a lot of data, a company set up in database. If the client wants to get its content, we have to assign by the ID, and that's what we are doing here. Get the logo, we pass the logo name, because you know that the upload file has to return a string. Upload file, this is the logo, it's going to return a string. So this string is going to be the logo name. You see from here that I return the file name. So the file name, that's what we need here to get the file from the database. Okay, and now in here, you have to use the EF call. And we check, we have to get the file format, the content type. So we check if the file contains this either PNG, JPG, or JPEG. Then set this respective content type. Then get the file path. So this is the file path. You know, files from the logo. You know that. And passing the file name. And that's going to grab the logo, or that's the link. Yeah, the link. The link. That's right. Then if it doesn't exist, return this. But in case it exists, then return the physical file. So that's going to get us the file path. So as soon as we insert this into an image, a source attribute is going to display the image. Boom. Yeah. That is an update category. So there's an update. We update it, and that's a delayed category. Get all categories over there, and now get category with job quantities. So we call the method as well. So these are the controller, the 3 controllers that we need for this to get working. All right. This is all set. So we're going to run this controller and see if the controller works. If it pops up, it means it is working as expected. Okay. So remember that we have a database over here, and let's see. So let's run this application. We are running the server, and let's see if the server opens. API works. It means it's set now. Then we can now go ahead and register and also log in to have our JWT token. Oh, all right. So you can see that from here it's working. We have our API with the port 7006. Now let's go in there to see we have everything over here as well. Now let's register and see how it's going to look like. So let's maintain this, the email user at email, and now click on execute. Let's see if it's going to register us. Let's see the response of this. Yeah, that's right, and that's good. So you can see we have an account created. Now let's log in and see if token is going to be generated. Then we can just move on to the client. Yeah, so you can see we have a token generated. This is a token which comprises of, this token comprises of, no, I don't want to search this. This token comprises of the claim that we specify, comprises of user ID, username, email, and then the user full name. Yeah, so that's it, the token and the token itself. So we have the claims set over here. So now that we have this set already, let's go in there and also configure the client section as well. Okay, so for this client section, let's see, let's go to the solution. Let's close this. Then we go to the solution. And here, let's close the server because you are done with that. Now from the client section, click on this www folder. Now what we have, this CSS, this bootstrap, maybe it might be maybe outmoded or the old one. So we have to include a new one over there. So we can also download the bootstrap and include it in there. So I have a bootstrap version of 5.0.2. Yes, and that's what we see over here. So I've included them over there. So once I'm done with it, I have to change the reference. So click on the index.html. Now in here, we are going to include some references for bootstrap and also the Syncfusion and the MAUI Blazor that we installed. So to do that, let's have a look here. Now we're going to install first. Let's link down there here. So let me just grab the name and I'll change this. So from the have it, install this, or just add this to the reference. And I'll link the documentation at the description so you can also go through yourself. Okay. And this is a bootstrap. You can also add the bundle.min.js. And now you make sure you add the assembly name.start.css added to that. And that is what you see is over even here. So you can even just remove this from this area. All right. Aside from this, what we need to do here is we have to also add the Syncfusion one. So the Syncfusion, let's grab this. And now in here, let's paste the same fusion on. So there's the same fusion. Let me give a space here. So you can see we are adding the same fusion components over there. Okay, so we need to add this. Let's remove the last one. We don't need this for now, maybe later on. So remove this. We have app.css. It is already set, so you can just remove that as well. We have the bootstrap, and so we have to remove this old one that defaultly set from there. All right, so we have all set. Everything is working well. The themes and the column all set. Okay, so now when you come down here, using the habit, we have to include this script down here. So put it in a script tag and now pass in this. So now you are done with this, let's work on the registration. So as soon as user tries to log in, we have to create an authentication state provider. That's the customized one or the fake one. So we can write our own methods to check. And here we are going to use a secure storage to store the data, the username, the password, the token, and now the username. Okay, all the claims you want to store into the secure storage. So let's do that. And we can do that by creating a folder. And on this folder here, let's name this as authentication. So right click on this, the client, right click, and now let's add a folder known as authentication. So add a new folder. And now let's name this as authentication. So that is just authentication. Now with this authentication, let's create a model, and that's what we're going to use to store the data into the session or the secure storage. So we're going to say the name of this model is going to be the session, user session. And now within this user session, you want to have access to the following properties. So this must be public, as you know. And here, let's paste this. So we need user ID, name, row, email, and then the token itself. Okay. Now we can now go ahead and now create our custom authentication state provider. And we do that to the same folder as well. So let's do it. And to create this, I think I have to grab this whole one, and I'll just have to paste it here. So we go through. Now that's what we are doing. We create a claim principal. We set to anonymous. That's the instance of it. There's no claims over here. So we set over here. And now all we're doing here is there's an inbuilt method here, and that's called the get authentication state async. So in that, that's what we are doing. Let's remove this. We want to get the data from secure storage, and that's the user session. That's the key here. The secure storage works like a dictionary. It has a key and its value. So the key is the user session. Okay. Now we check if it is null. It means user has not registered yet or log in. Then return new user. But in case it is there, then what we're going to do here is we're going to deserialize it. This secure storage doesn't store objects. So it has to store as a string. So we need to serialize the object to a string. So we have to do it vice versa, so we can use them. So here we are deserializing the user session, and we assign it to the claim as the username, email, and etc. We do it over here, and the type that we're using here is a custom authentication here. We return the new authentication state, then we pass in this claim principal that we set here. So here we are getting the content, the claims from the secure storage, and now assign it to the claim identity to check if you are authenticated. Now, the next method here is to set. Okay, so after logging in, we have to set it. So we see the payload come in here, the user session, and I will check if they are not empty. Then we serialize them, because here we are getting the serialized one. We deserialize it. So before we deserialize, we have to serialize it, and that's what we are doing here, to store in the form of a string, so we can store. We set the name over here, and then this is the value. As I mentioned earlier on, it works like a key value pair. So this is the key and this is the value. Then we create a claim principal. We set up them over here as well. And now, in case the user come here and it is null, the user session is null, it means the user has now logged out. And in case user wants to log out, then delete or remove the key. As soon as you click on this, it's going to remove the key and its value. Then return, notify the system that something has happened, so it should re-render. And after re-rendering, it checks from the secure storage and it won't find anything. Then it assigns a new anonymous user to you, meaning that you are now logged out. I hope this is clear. Okay, so now we have this. The next thing to do here is we have to create our component. So you know that there are some services that we're going to be using. That is getting the base URL, because you know we're going to be calling the controller etc. all the time. So we want to put the base URL into a one service so we can call it all the time. Okay, so let's do that quickly, and we have to create a folder here as data. So we create the same thing over here. Let's do it. So right click on this and I'll add a folder known as data. And now let's add this class to it as base service. So add a new class. And this class, you're going to name it as base service. Within this class, this is what you want to have. It must be a public class. And we are going to pass in this. So with this, you can see we are using a base URL. And we are checking if the type of device is Android or desktop. More than Android, Windows. Okay, so if it's an Android, then we want to use the dev tunnel. If it is a Windows, we want to use this because localhost, when using the Windows app, it understands localhost, but for the Android, it doesn't. So we're going to use a dev tunnel to handle that. Okay, and this we must have an access to an internet connection for this to work. I'll show you how to get this. But you know, our port here was 7006, I think so. So we have to add it over there, 7006. Yes, 7006, that's a port. And now here we have to include the user session as well. So you see we are getting user session from the database. We create an object over here, and now we get from the secure storage. And now this is what we're doing. We are going to serialize this user session and now return. So this, when you call this, it means that we are going to, no, here we are deserializing it. Okay, we are deserializing because in the session storage it has been serialized. So when you grab it, you have to deserialize to form an object as user object. And now here we want to add authentication JWT to our header, because you know that when you want to make a request and that request method is being attributed with an authorized, it means it's requiring an JWT. So we have to create a method here as a general one so we can use it. So you see that we are adding this to the header as the scheme here is the bearer. And now this is the key, the token over here. Okay, that is what we have here, and return as an HTTP client. So because you're going to create an instance of this, and I use that. So before we call this has been loaded already. It has a header assigned as JWT inclusive. So we need not to create it anywhere again. All right, so we have this as a service first. The next thing that we're going to do here is let's create our component. The first component we're going to create here is going to be, let's see, let's work on the layout. No, that is the MAUI program. We have to register the component in there. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to the base service, authentication state provider, and also the singleton for the base service. We have to register them. So go to solution and the MAUI program.ts down here. Let's put this here. So these are the things that I want to register, and this from the habit, and this is so control period. You know, it coming from the habit, and this coming from the one that we just installed, the custom auth provider. We have to also include the namespace as well, and this is a base service that we just created. So we do that, and now once we're done, we have to also add I think SyncFusion. So because we haven't added that. So quickly, let's also add a SyncFusion to this, because we're also going to be using their component as well. All right, so we are done with the program settings, and what we're going to do here, the next thing here is we're going to work on the main page. So let's see. So from this main page, you go to the main page here, solution, and you can see from this main page, there's nothing to be done here. This main page you want to maintain as it is, yeah, because yeah, this is what matters most to us, and it is already. So we go to this main, and now with this main, we have to surround the whole content with an cascading authentication state provider. So we go to the main, and now with this, let's highlight this and I paste it. So we are using this cascading authentication state to check. So before we route to any, we check if the route has an attribute as authorized or not. It has it required the person to be authorized, and what is the state you are? Are you authorized or you are not? That's the work of this going to do. Okay, so let's do that as well. So let's override the main layout.razor. So let's customize it to fit what you want to use it for. So solution, we do that, and this is the main layout. So this is what we have here. I'm going to clear this. Okay, then replace it with this very simple one. So it means here we are creating a component, and that component is known as a custom tab component, because you know this is the tab bar that's displayed on the top, the bottom of the page on the Android device. Okay, so we have to include that, and this, because we are using a row, a container fluid. This is a bootstrap bootstrap things. Okay, we have to create this custom tab bar component. Okay, so we're going to do that soon, and with a custom tab bar component, we can do that in the shared folder. So here, this is a shared, right click, and now let's add a new Razor component, and now the name is going to be the custom tab bar component. And now with that, we are going to, let me just grab this from here, and let me just paste them. Yes, so this is what we are using. This is the MAUI hybrid.date. No, we are not using this link here. So this is the tab bar, as you can see from this. And now we inject this navigation manager, and now this is the, we're not using this delay service. Okay, for now, we're not using that. Now, the next thing that we need to do here is we have to include, let's see, this authorization. Okay, it has been added over here for us. So what we're going to do here is we are creating tab bar. So let me save this, close this, and I reopen it again so we can see the colored one. This sounds like a black and white. Yeah, so that we have it now. Now you can see here we are creating a div as a card. Okay, and now we're creating this. So you can see we have home, post, category, and now settings. That is a bar display beneath of the bottom of the page. And now when you click on it, you are navigating to the various components here. So settings, category, and etc. Okay, now this is just a style to put it down and also to spread it across so you can see it as a tab bar beneath. This is a simple CSS to do that. And now when this is clicked, you want to navigate. Here you can see we are injecting this navigation manager, and that is the work of doing this. Yeah, so you're navigating to the URL that's going to pass in over here. So it means that all this, we have to create a component and assign the page to them. We save this. So the next thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add category. Okay, this is going to be performed by the administrator. So we go to the pages, and now here the pages, we right click and now add the component known as add category. And remember that here only the administrator will have the right to add category. No one else can have access to add category. And now here we are using this just the library.models. Okay, so let me just remove this gap. All right, so you can see we are using a scene fishing component, and now this is an SF text box. So with this scene fishing component, we are getting the name and the subtitle. That's what we need. We create an object of category over here. Okay, the category model. Then we assign to this edit form. So this, you can see the edit form. This is a model, and when the button is clicked, this is what we want to perform. So when the button is clicked, we are creating a reusable component. Okay, so this we invoke when a button is clicked. When this is clicked, then we want to invoke this event callback. We invoke this event callback, and I'm passing this object. That is the category. It means anytime that we call, anywhere that we call this event, it is coming in with an object of category. So we have to accept that. And that's for the add-in. Let me close this and open it again. I don't like this black and white color. Let's do it again from this add category. I think it has to be saved now. Yeah, that's right. So you can see we have it set, and that is the category model that we are going to accept over there. and we have the event setup as well. All right, so from this, but why are we having an error here? Category model, the title, we have this set. I don't know. Okay, so don't mind it when we start. Let's see. So you can just click this and see maybe which one is coming from. So control period. Let's now include the namespace again and see. Okay. All right, so category model, and that's the model over here. I think it is set. So that's what we are doing over here. As you can see, we are just adding the category. So we create a component. Now this component, you can see there's no route, so it's going to be called within another component. And now when we click on this save, it's going to come out with this category object. Okay, then we can now process it with it. All right, so once you're done with this, we have to use this category component somewhere. So where we have to create another category component, and that this time we're going to be category list component. And this category component, and it's going to allow us to use the component that we have created. So let's create one another component in here. And now with this, we're going to say it is a category component. So within that category component, this is what we are doing. We are adding the category here. So when you check this, this is a navbar. Let's save this, and I want to close this and open it again. So I won't have this black and white because category component. All right, so you can see it from here that we call this is an HX navbar from the have it component. You want to have a navbar on top, and now the navbar, you want to have something like a home tab and the plus tab. So if I click on the plus, it means I want to add a category. Click on the home, I want to view all category lists. And if I click on this, you can see we have this method which are going to be called respectively, and these are the method here. So let's see. There's a handle add category, and also there's a navigate to the home category. So here you can see we call a method known as a reset all. And what is this method? When you check this reset all definition, it is over here. We set visible to true, a false, and now cat list view visible to also false. We've initialized this over here. Okay, so this we are going to use it to manage the component that we just created, the reusable component. Okay, so we can hide it, we can show it, we can hide it, we can show this and hide that, and etc. And that's what we are doing over here. So you can see we call this add category component that we created, and I reset the visible to the current visible or the property that we have created. Then event. As soon as I click on this event get fired, it is coming in with object of category, right? And now this is the model that it is coming out with. So this is a model. So you can see from here that you create an instance of this, and we assigned it to it. So you can see we have this category, and we assign this category to the model that we have created over here as a parameter for this add category component. Okay. When this page initializes, we call this method, and what is method going to do? We are calling a service. You know, base service is coming out with the HTTP add header to the HTTP. It means that this header here, it means it is secured. The token has been added to the header, and now we call this get categories. Okay, at normal instance here, get categories is an anonymous one, so anybody can have access to. So you can decide to create your own one, and I can create two HTTP clients. The first one has a header, the second one has no header. So when you get to a place whereby the header needs not to add a token, you call the raw header. Okay, but I did not do that. Maybe I did that. Maybe next time I'll do that as well. And now we read the list over here, and I return get the categories as the list that has been created, and now I add it as an arrow when we loop through them, and now add a category list. So here we are populating the category list. After that, then you want to show the list. Now, where from this list here, this category list is also coming from this component. We haven't created this yet. That is a category list. So this component is going to display the list of categories that the user has added. Okay. So you know this is the property of Boolean that we are using to show or hide. And here it is a list of objects as a parameter. And here it is also an handle if I want to edit, if I want to delete. these are the properties, and all these will be invoked anytime you call them in here. And in case it needs to submit an integer or any value, we pass it to the event callback, and that's going to fire that. Let's have a look. Now we have this over here. When I click on handle save, you know, this category here will contain the current content coming from this add category component. So I'll just have to pass it, call a service from the API, and now I'll just have to post it over there. So you can see here, the service here is known as the add or update category. I'll pass in this object here, and now the response I'll display to the user. Okay, when it comes to this handle add category, this is for the save, right? If I want to handle add, display the category options whereby I can add, I can just delete, and etc. And now in case I click on navigate to home, hide the add cat component, and I'll display the list component for me. If I click on edit, what should happen? Now to handle with this, let's first create the edit component first. And to do that, you have to create a component that is known as the category list component, right? So with that category list component, it's going to loop through a list of categories that we're going to assign to as a parameter and display them on the screen for us. So let's do that. All these are going to be done by the administrator because that's the role that we're going to assign to. So category list component, and now within this category list component, we are going to loop through the list that are going to be assigned to this as a parameter. So as you can see from here, no, you're not using this shed. Let's remove, it's a library. So okay, so here if it is true, then display this. Now when you check this, you can see we are using the for each. So from these categories here, and we are looping through them, item and the title, the title and the subtitle. And I can see we are calling a method known as when this is unclicked. These are pencil and this is trash can. So these are icons. When I click on this, I want to edit. If I click on it, I want to delete. So where from this implementation, you can see that here we have a list of category and they are all parameter here. So it means that this parameter needs to be called outside this component, and that's what you're going to be called inside this category component here. Okay, so control period, you can just include the namespace of this, and you see that from here is an event callback. So here we are passing in an object of category, and that's a handle edit. And now you can see from here, as soon as we pass in edit, we call this method as edit, and this method is coming in with an ID, right? So this ID, we are going to loop through the list that is over here because this list has been provided by the main page to this. So we need not to fetch the ID, we need not to call any API to get the whole ID again. We have to call it from the list that has been assigned here, okay? And we do that. After getting the object here, we call this, invoke this event callback, and now assign this object because you know that this event callback is returning an object. So we need to provide an object to this. We do the same thing to the delete. By delete here, we need to provide the same object. Maybe here you want to, as soon as you delete it, you want to display the list of the items or the item that you deleted, okay? But in a normal sense, you can also pass or invoke with the ID. So you can just call the database service and remove the ID from that from the database as well. Okay, so now when you go back to this category, you know that this is also solved. So we have the handle category edit, and this for the delete. And you know this is coming in with an object. This is also coming with an object. So we need to receive them with an object, and that's exactly what we are doing here. Check this. You can see edit is an object, and now delete is an object. So here we are assigning it to the new one. So this category over here, the category object that we created, this object, we assign new one coming in. It means you want to edit that, okay? And that is this one. And we want to set this visible to true. This visible here, it is for this add category, add or update component. So as soon as this is true, it means that it's going to display the ID that we click, and now we can now edit it ourselves. Okay, and if I click on delete, this we are creating a string right here, confirm. So you want to confirm it. You want to delete it. If it is yes, then call a service, pass in the category ID, and now delete it. And load the data again. So when you load the data, it's going to remove the deleted one from it. But in case it is not, then you're going to maintain as it is. So that is what this category method is doing. Okay. So with this, are you sure you want to delete the following category? You want to display the category title and the category subtitle to the user. before the person clicks on confirm. All right, we have this set. Now, all this that we've done here is for the admin, because admin can edit, can delete category, can add category. But for a normal user who comes to find a job, what are the categories that the person going to see? Okay, let's have a look with that. So we're also going to create another component here, and this component we're going to name it as category, a categories component. And now within that component, you're also going to have this here, and this time around it is focused for the client. Okay, so the client can see this. So let's see what we are doing here. We are using this the have it navbar. Okay, and this navbar, we just have to display this job categories, and you can see we have a button over here, and this button has been assigned as a visibility as this. So, and here too with the span, this is a visibility. What we want to do here is, if I click on a category and I want to search for another one, I must have a button which I can click on go back. So if I click on go back, there have to be a method which is going to be called. So it is if I click on this, return to category list, then this method is going to be called, and this method is doing nothing, like it is returning to the list. As you can see, it hides this and it displays the next one. These are all CSS classes that we are adding. These are CSS style classes that we are also adding. So just clone this and I'll have a time and go through them one after the other. Okay, and you're going to understand that, as I said earlier on, a portion that you couldn't understand, let me know, and I'll just take time. And to you personally, I'll just explain to you for you to get understanding. Let me close this. As you know, I hate this black and white. So let me just relaunch it again. Okay. Now here we are using this HS search box. It is from the component that we installed, the have it component. So it is just a search box that enables us to search. Okay, so let me just include this, the namespace of this. And now with this, we need to provide the following properties to it. There's a provide search result, the title of the result, the title of the content over here, the search placeholder, the icon. When item is selected, what do you want to do? Okay, and in case you couldn't find anything too, what do you want to do? It looks like using the Blazor type ahead by Crescenti. It looks similar to that. Okay, so maybe if you're not conversant with this, you can also use this Blazor type ahead and from the Crescenti as well. Okay, now this what we are doing, we're going to loop through the page, as you can see, category with number of jobs, because here it is returning the category title and the number of jobs which have that category ID. So here we are looping through them and we want to order them by the category name. So that's what we are ordering here, and this is what we are doing. We are looping through them by the category name and also the job quantity. We are using this HS list group icons. Okay, so we're going to have the text here and the number of jobs beside the other side as well. Okay, now we have the next one is when page is visible. So here it is when, if I click on a single one, if I make a search, this is what is going to be displayed. So this is for the search and this is for the general one. So we have a search one, and if I click on the search, it has navigated me to the home page and I'm passing the search ID. It means that the home page, you have to accept the parameter and we have to loop through and I'll get the current data, current job with that ID, and I display it on the screen. And that's what we are doing over here. Okay, then we display the name of that category and also the job, the number of jobs assigned to that specific category here. All right, now this is CSS style to position it very well. Now here we have to include the namespace of this. You can see here we are creating a list, and here we have all this to assign, to display and hide the buttons for the back and on the span. So to display, these are the buttons. So to display this, to hide and to display them here, that's what we are calling this properties. You can see these are not parameters, they are inside, or they are the inbuilt one, or they are inside here to work. All right, now when you check this, you can see you have a category created. That's a list over here, and you have categories with icon, and it is coming from a search box. The reason why I did that was, you can see the default one, when you go for the documentation, default you have this bootstrap icon, and this bootstrap icon has to maintain here, so you can actually have an icon when you try to make a search. So I did have to convert mine list to this. So that's what I'm doing over here. I'm just converting it over here. As you can see, I'm converting it from the ID, the title, and I'm using just one icon. So maybe if you know how to use it, you can use multiple icons as well. But I'm using just one icon. So I'm calling the service to get all categories. Then I'm going to loop to the categories and then create this list of category icon. And I'll assign the title and then the ID and then the subtitle. And I'll add icon to it. Okay. Then check if the content here has already data. Maybe a new one has been added. So clear that. And now get the whole list again. And now add them to the list. So you can have an updated one. Okay. Now here it is, get this category jobs. So if I click on any of the job, if I click on any of the category, it's going to assign as an ID. So with that ID, I want to navigate to the home and pass in this ID. So that's why I say get this category jobs. Okay. Now this is the search box data provider. It's a default one. Okay. So when you check the documentation, it is there. What I did was I just have to change this to the list that I have. And this is my list. So nothing else. This is the only thing that I did. So if you don't understand this, it was very difficult for me to even at first. And so I'll put the description. I'll put the link over there. Have time to go through. And in case you couldn't, let me know the area. I'll take some time and now one-on-one, I can just help you understand it very well. Here for our time's sake, let's move on with this. Okay. Now what we need to do here, the next one is, so we are done with that category. So anytime the user click on category, there's a route here and you're going to display this category list to the user. Okay. Now the next thing you're going to do here is to set up a company list, set up a company page. So let's create another component, and that's going to be for setup company page. So add this new Razor component and setup company component here. So within this is what we want to have. It is just a form, okay, that we are submitting. So if you check here, we are submitting a form using this is an edit form, and here we are getting the image. We call this API from this base API.base URL. This is a base service, contains the default one that we set earlier on. And I want to pass in the company info.company logo. So we can have access to the logo over there. And now you can see it is just a form. We have this input, and as you can see, we have a card body, text box, and these are for company name, address, location. And also here we have the SF uploader. Now this SF uploader here is going to allow us to upload a certain file. Here we are making a restriction to PDF. Here we're making a restriction to what? PNG, JPG, and now JPEG only. Let's can include the namespaces. So control period. We're going to add this .input. Let's save this because I hate the black and white. And let's open it again. So company setup page, and now it's solved now. So company info. And that is what we are having over here. So here we are creating a company info. Let's make it as private. And let's include the namespace too. So it might be from the models folder. Okay. And now here you can see from when the page initializes, you want to call get business data. You pass in the user ID to get the data here. This base service contains, the ID because it has gotten the data from the secure storage and now visualize it. So when we call that service, we have all the data that we want. And now here we respond it and we assign it over there. So as soon as you load, you submit your data, you close the application, you load it again, it's going to load that data and then display it on the screen for you. So you can see what you submitted. When I click on save, submit to this API, return the response to the user. Now if I click on logo change, so if I click on, that's the file upload. If I click, this is the logo one, loop to the list, and now open read here, and now attach it to the, you see we are calling this HTTP content to this multi-part form data content. And now what we're doing here is, we are adding to the HTTP content, okay? Then we pass it on to the API. So when you receive it, it checks the content and there will be a file in there. You're going to grab that. We do the same thing to the certificate. Like you see, we add it to the content too, and now call the API and now send it. All this API has to be secured one. That's why we are calling this, because all this add header, meaning that a header, a token has been added to the header. Okay. Now we have this. Now the next thing is our home page. So we're going to create our home page, and now let's see. So solution, and now with our home page, we have to display the list of product. Is it product? That is going to be the jobs, available jobs in there. So within our home page, we have just one. Let me just clear this one because these are not the reference for this Microsoft shared, and it's going to be for the shared. Okay, let me close this, open it again. So you know that here it is having two routes. The first one is a route with no parameter, and the second one is a route with parameter. You know, when you check the categories, you know, as soon as I click on each category, it has to navigate to the home, and I'm passing an ID, and that's what we are doing. As soon as you do this, you must have a property known as parameter for this ID. So this is a parameter, and as soon as you do that, you must also have this method on parameter set async. So when parameter changes and the parameter is less than or equal to 0, it means you want to call the default one. But in case it is not, call the service and pass in that category ID. And you're going to return a whole list of objects or the job with that specific category ID. Okay, add it to this job list, as you can see over here. And here we are looping through that list here to display. So you can see we are looping through the list, and now we are displaying them. But as you can see from here that we are using an accordion from a Syncfusion accordion. So we set the title here, and now if only the featured is set to true, if it is featured, we want to have this, you want to add this div. It's a design tab, and that's going to assign as a featured on top of the accordion. Okay, and we want to do that if only it is here, the featured is for true. So as you can see that here we are looping through the list that we have, and that's for the jobs. So each job we have to loop through it, and we have the job title, we have the image, and we call the base service to get the base URL. We pass in the rest to get the image of that specific company. And here you can see we have the description, we have the company name, and etc. So you can see is a list that we provided from the get job model. That's what we have over here, and we also have an accordion as well, so we can have access to the job provider details. So this is the thing that's going to display as soon as you click that. So here it looks like an accordion within an accordion, right? We have an accordion, the main one, and we have a sub accordion inside the main accordion. Okay, that's what we are doing. Now this is just a style to just move it to well, and this is the design tab to set as a featured item. Okay, so we're using the transform, rotate, and etc. So these are the CSS class that we are using to a style to just format that something that you saw earlier on. And you know that here we're getting a job list. So here we have to call a service to get the whole job list, and that's what we are doing over here. So that's what we're doing for the home, very simple one as well. Okay, so what we have here, the next thing is we have to call a login component. So from login component, let's create it quick. So solution, then right click on the pages, let's add the component, and then this is going to be the login component. So for the login component, we are going to have just two text boxes, and these text boxes are going to be like the username and the password. Because when you check here, you can see we have this is just a design that I just added. I can just remove this. Okay, and now you can see from here that it is just an edit form. So this edit form, when it's submitted, you're going to handle with this. We have an email, we have a password, and we have a button as submit. So when it is clicked, this is what we are doing. So this is not part. Let me just clear that. You can see we are creating an object of login model, and that's what we are using to contain the data. We have to call push it to this login. And now the result that is coming in, we have to get, you see we are calling this method, get user claims from the token that is coming in. The thing comprises of all the claims. We want to extract the claims. So we call this method. And this is the method that we're going to use to extract the claims. So we see we are extracting the name, the row, the email, and the serial number. And now return a user session. So let me just Control D. Let me close this and I'll open it again because, you know, I hate this black and white. So yeah, this is what we are doing. When the user comes in and the token returns from the service, what we are doing here is we have to get all the claims. After getting all the claims here, you can see we have to get the user session from this, and we're going to return an object as user session. You know, that's an output of this as a user session. Now when you get that, that's what we are doing. You can see in a custom authentication state provider, we created an object known as an update auth state, right? So you pass in this object here. Now when you pass in this object, it goes to that service or that method, and now assign or save it, set it to the secure storage, and now update the page to get it re-render. So as soon as it does that, it's going to re-render the page, and you're going to have an authentication system worked for us. And aside from that, we are navigating to the home page, and now we force load it, okay? And now we place it to true. So when we place it, you can't go back to login again, because when you log in, it gets to the main page, and now you can't go back again to that page. No, it won't happen that. And that's what we are doing for this login page. Very simple. So what we're doing here is we get the data, we get the token, we extract it, we call a method from the authentication state provider, then it extracts it, and now save it into the secure storage. All right, so let's see the next one. We have to talk about, maybe the next thing we have to do here, it is a post component. Okay, so with the post job, too, we have to create a component that you can post job, and here it has to be authorized by authenticated users only. So with the post job, you have to provide all the steps that you need to provide, you need in order to post your, okay, and that's what we are using here. You can see we are calling this, let me just close this and open it again. So as you can see from here, we have an attribute known as an authorized. So this means that an admin can have access to this page, a user also can have access to this page. Okay, so, and you can see we have an edit form, we have a post modal, and there's a handle save option. So as soon as this button is clicked, we're going to call this. And these are the models that we have. You can see we have a drop-down list. This drop-down list we are using to populate the categories here. So you can see we have a category as a data source, okay, for the drop-down list. And now when the value changes, you want to call this, so we can have access to this category ID. Now here we have a text box. This is an SF text box. Let's see, control period. Let's see, we have to add some reference to this. And as you can see from here too, these are all SF text boxes that we are using for this input. And also, if you check this, we have the function, the description, the title, and this also from this SF drop-down list. And at this time around, we are setting the job type. And this is the data source, okay? And also the next one is you have this job location, and we have this salary range. You can see we are using an SF numeric text box, and for the minimum and the maximum range. The format here is C2, that is for dollar, and have the 00 decimal places. Okay, so that is what we have. Make sure you just go to GitHub and get the source code for this. So you won't type all this, okay, because I've done them already. And just go in there and grab it. Okay, so we have the style to just navigate to style it, position it very well. And we have this object, post object, and this is in the post modal. And that's the container that we are using to handle all the stuff in here. Aside from that, the next thing that we are doing here, it is a job type. So you see job type here is a list of job mode. Now where from this, because we did not create, we created a job mode model, but I did not populate it. So how did we get this? Check down here. Job mode is over here. Let's see. There's a job type. So you see the job type, as soon as the page loads on initialize async, we are populating it. We are adding the part-time and the full-time. So we want to assign this, and anytime that an event or a drop-down is clicked, assign show these two. And now that's what we are doing. So when I click on this, call this service, and I post it, the response displays to the user. When this value change, that is when the post model change, you can see here, we want to get the value. Now, when you quickly check this, the value here, it is what? A string. And the value here, it is name. Let's go in there and check the type of the property. The name is part-time. So it means that when the value change, you're going to have either part-time or full-time. Okay, assigned to this. And there's a low default. So that is when it calls this API to return a list of categories. Because you can see it returns a list from a category, and I will loop to the list and I will assign to this category list. Remember that this category list is also a list of objects that have been created here, and that's what we are using to start or to set the data source of this SF drop-down list. And now when on category value change, when it changes, what we are doing here is we assign the ID to this ask.id. You know, this is coming in as a string. So what we're doing here, we're going to convert it, and we can do that by using int.pass. Okay, we pass in the value here. We're going to look through it and now assign the value in it as an integer to the object created. Okay, so that is this one too. So what we need to do next is we have to create a registration component. Then we have one last component to finish this. Now registration component, so let's quickly do that. We add this razor, and you know, for registration, we're going to register with username and password and etc. So all these stuffs, and that is it. Very simple and clear one as well. So let's paste this here. And you know, we are having this registration name, phone, email, password, and a confirmed password. Okay, so that is what we are having over there. And yeah, I think that's all. So when you check down here, let me just close this and open it again to get rid of this. Is it red and black or so? So as you can see from here that we have this registration model that is used as the model over here for this edit form, and we are assigning the values in here. So these are the properties that we are assigning: the name, the phone number, we have the email, the password, and we have confirmed password. Okay, and that's what we have here. Now when you check this, we call the service, we push it to this service, and I return respond to the user. Okay, and that's all. We then navigate to the login page. All right, so the last component that we need to create here, it is a setup settings page component. That's a setting. So if I want to log out, what can I do? And this page is what going to be used to log out, and also this page is going to be used to assign the various roles to the user. That is either an admin, either you are a normal user, and now where you can have access to. So as you can see from this, you can see we are having this sidebar, and this from this have it component. Now this sidebar, we are having the most important thing here is you're having this authorized attribute, and then this authorized. So if you're authorized, you're going to see this, the brand name as your name. Then we have hi. Then if you're not, you're going to see hi, and then the name is what? Guest. Let me save this. Okay, so we have this, and we're going to see this hi, and I'm going to see either guest. If authenticated, you're going to see the name, but if you're not, you're going to see hi as guest. Okay, now this place is for only admin. So admin can manage client, admin can add user, can assign a role, can revoke client, can accept or check incoming applicant. Okay, and also the same thing, admin can manage categories. So you can just add, delete, update, and etc. All right. Now, when you come to this, it is for authorized. So authorized means any of the authorized user can have access to either a user or an admin. So that's my company, and you can set up a company by navigating it to a company setup page. So you can just fill in the form and I'll submit. And now here we have the login. So you see, if you're authorized, give us logout. If I click on this button, call this method. If you're not authorized, display login and our registration. This is a method, logout. So click on this. We have to inject the namespace for this authentication state provider that we created. And now when you do that, there is a model, we have to include that. And now with this model, you can see there is a method that we call. Now within this method, we say that when a new instance comes in out of this object and it is null, then it means go in there and then remove what we have from the secure storage, because the user wants to log out. That's what it means. As soon as you pass in null to this method, that's what it's trying to mean. So we do that here to define that. That's all. Now once we have this, let's build the application. So I'm going to close everything from here. Yeah, save the rest. And let's build this application and run and see. So right click solution and build solution. Alright, so it is now built. Now let's run this application and see. Alright, so you can see that our app is now ready and we have our API 2 available as well. Now since we have no data here, no job, we have empty. And as you can see from here, nothing over there. Now when I click on settings, you can see we have this hi guest and we have account settings. So we can now create an account and log in. Alright, so let's quickly create an account over here. And I'm going to use, let me use this test. and there's test as mail.com. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so as you type, it gets validates as well. So this is the phone number. Let's click on create account, and you can see we have account created, and we can still go in there and account and now log in. So let's see. Now this is a test. Now the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since I click on login, let's wait and see. You can see we have the token here, and which is going to be stored in the secure storage. And as soon as I do that, the cascading that we use in the main.razor is going to refresh itself, and you can see we have a category, and you can see we have post, right? If I click on post, you're going to have a form whereby we can actually post. As you can see, we can make a post in here, and from categories too, we have no category yet. When I click on settings, you can see we have this my company, hi test my company, and we can just set up a company over here, and this too, you can just click on log out. All this that you've done, we went through from the beginning is the same thing that we're having now. For sake of time, I'll end here, and you can just try your hands on it. So go to the GitHub and I'll clone the source code. You can just go through. In case you have any issue as well, just let me know. You can contact me over there as well. And going to be one-on-one. I'm going to help you understand that as well. Thank you. Give me a thumbs up to this video if you like it, and also you can just subscribe to the channel. Anytime that I just upload a new video, you can get it.